most aesthetic physique in this division.
Good luck tonight.
She's so nervous.
Thank you.
We got Steve out here right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he has all of the mass that seems to be necessary for this division today, but also he has a very aesthetic shape. You know, big wide shoulders with a small waist, big legs. He has,
big calves.
Yeah.
I know you love that. The first thing you see is because you say the symmetry here.
Yeah.
The symmetry here.
Yes.
And the symmetry is created by the calves, the thighs,
Yeah.
and then the small waist and the big deltoids and all that stuff. So that's really good.
Yeah. Can you imagine developing a physique like this while being a fireman?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, firemen need a lot of strength
Yes.
and a lot of endurance, and more than anything, a lot of courage.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, those firemen have what the politicians that they don't have.
Absolutely.
They have courage,
Yeah.
and the politicians don't. It's a sad story.
So I think everybody took a listen to you this morning. They're holding their poses.
Yeah.
Show the people what they
Yeah.
have.
You see now, he's holding the pose long enough.
Yeah.
That is the important thing, rather than rushing it through.
Yeah. So from your perspective, when you take open guys being so much more massive, would you like to see them also do more classic posing, or do you think they need to stick with the powerful mandatory
Are
posing?
you kidding me? I mean, think about that. If they would pose like you just saw the classic division, if the big guys would pose like that, and hold the pose that long, and have those kind of facial expressions, and move their fingers and their hands in a graceful way, you know, rather than just the fist and everything blocking. Oh, it would be a straight 10. And if they could control their waist like that, to actually, when you do a side chest pose, to have your you know,
lifted.
to have your forearm underneath the rib cage, rather than on top of it, squeezing it sideways, and all these weird things that they're doing. They're doing a lat spread, good lat spread.
You know, the thing about people so massive, when you attempt classic posing, it actually exposes a lot of flaws. So a lot of these massive guys, they avoid some of the classic posing because, you know, if you don't have the midsection for it, you know,
but
you don't
remember,
have the structure.
you can get it.
Yeah.
You know, there's not enough to wish for it. You just get it. You just say, okay, this is the exercises I have to do for the next year in order to improve. Because there's a lot of those guys that are on stage that don't really improve that much. They get bigger, but they don't really change in looks. You know, the guy that has a weak point in the calf doesn't come back the next year with 2 inches bigger calves. Or the guy that has a problem with his rear deltoid doesn't come back all of a sudden the rear deltoid popping out. Or the guy that has a problem with his waist line, not having abs enough, or not doing the vacuum. That guy does not come back and improve. And all of a sudden the next year everyone talks about, wow, this guy never could do a vacuum, but all of a sudden look at the vacuum he can do. It's fantastic. You know, so that's what you want to see as a judge, improvement.
So let's take a look at one of your good friends' son, Sergio Oliva Jr.
Right.
Beautiful posing routine.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great poser.
For posing last year.
I just would love to have Sergio Oliva, his father,
to be able to watch,
sit right here with us and do a commentary, and to see his son looking like this and doing some of the poses that are quite the same as he did, but then to do classic poses like he just did, that Sergio Oliva never did. So there's a new groundbreaking thing for this guy, like this kind of a pose. These classical, really beautiful poses. His father never did. You know, everything was power. Power and dynamic.
You know, me and Sergio, we talked about him kind of being in his father's shadow. And I told him, I said, look, man, for me, growing up without a daddy, I wish I had a father's shadow to fall under. You know, sometimes it feels like you got to try to live up to their legacy. But to have someone, and he looks exactly like him.
Look at this.
I wish I had
this. This was a fantastic pose that you just did.
Yeah, beautiful. He's so passionate to his routine.
There was a little stumble in there in the middle of the posing. Yeah. You know, if I would train him for posing, I would have him hold those poses longer and not go so quickly from pose to pose. Because it almost looks like you're hiding something. That's why you want to get out of it, but there's nothing to hide. This is a beautiful pose. See, there you should have held those at least 5 seconds longer.
You know, I think we maybe
That's amazing. That is amazing. I was never able to do that. This is incredible.
We probably would be able to get up if we did that.
I know. I mean, You have to take a stretcher and get me out of there.
You know, it seems as though we probably need to design our routines to allow more time for each pose and then just do less poses. Because we try to pack so much into a routine.
Look, you do 20 poses. If you do 20 really good poses and move from one to the next very gracefully, but then take the beats. Like when you do the most muscular pose, you get the hold it. You do the double. This is a great pose. That was his father's pose. And this one also. Exactly his father. Now I'm seeing Sergio Oliva Jr. in front of me.
That big smile.
And the lat spread. This is all his dad's poses. Very good posing indeed. But there's a few things that I would improve upon if I were him, including his side chest pose, side tricep pose, and those kind of things. Where you can really make a big leap forward.
This is Arnold Classic debut. From Kafar, El Sheikh, Egypt.
So we got
Hassan
Mustafa coming out. He's from Egypt. I know back in the 80s, we had a lot of guys that would come over from the Middle East, and they have really good packages back then. And it's good to see those guys make their way over now.
There was a guy by the name of Makaway. Remember
Absolutely.
Macau is something. Makaway.
Absolutely.
It depends who said the name, but I mean, he was really dynamic. And he had so much fire in his belly. I mean, he posed, there was so much movement. He and Franco Colombo, they were always the big pose-ups and stuff like that.
I used to watch all of his routines, but I could never do his poses quite like him because his package and the way his physique structure was, he just looked beautiful.
Right.
See, this guy is very massive for his height. He comes on stage at about 260, and he's only 5'7".
That's huge.
Big calves, big
ears, look at the waist.
everything.
Just to get pull the waist in. There's a problem with the waist.
So do you think in a situation like this, or an athlete like this, how you say, he needs to bring his waist in, do you think it's possible to gain control and be able to suck that stomach in more? Or do you think he needs to bring size?
I have to say, there's some people that say that it would be hard to do with the type of stuff that they're taking that makes the stomach itself grow, and therefore it's hard to put it in. But even with that, I would say that if you practice the vacuum every day, let's say 5 times a day for 10 minutes, they just hold it in and you just keep holding it and time yourself. Almost kind of like how long can you keep the air in without breathing, right? You time yourself. If that guy would do that, if you see their stomach now, the stomach is sticking out further than the chest. So to me as a judge, that counts against them.
And probably
now this is fantastic. This is really extraordinary, I think. And I think that the key thing is that this class, people still, I think we talked about it yesterday in the seminar, they still believe that you have to grind your teeth, that you have to kind of look like you're going number 2, because it makes the judges feel like you're really struggling and that you're really giving it all. But you don't have to.
Well, I gotta say, it seems to be part of the climate and the nature of the sport, especially in the
See the stomach? I mean, it's such a great body, so symmetrical, really fantastic. But I think that will work maybe against him, having a stomach that he cannot control with a vacuum, or his abs, flexing his abs for a long period of time.
You know, the thing is, you'll see some guys like that maybe have structural flaws, but when they do their mandatory poses, they're able to hide those flaws in the mandatory poses.
Like he does right now. With the side chest pose, he really hides it well. And the back poses, he hides it well. But then there's times when he walks around. See, what bodybuilders don't recognize is that every second when they're on stage, the judges are looking at them. So they never blink.
Okay.
Remember, they never blink.
Okay, so do you think then that judges are judging constantly? Or do you
Constantly.
think they only look at this man?
No, because I know myself. I look at it, and as soon as he turned around, and I saw the gut sticking out, I see it and say that is a problem.
Okay.
So I see it. I see it. It's like when you do a movie, it's not just the dialogue. It's like what you do in the scene, but it's all the stuff that you do in between the dialogue. The blinking of the eyes, the looking around, if you look secure, or if the scene is where it's supposed to be insecure looking and frightened looking, all of these other little subtle things that what. And so here the key thing is that in this division, guys got to go and start looking more friendly, and the more relaxed the faces. Because if you look back in history, in bodybuilding, look at the early days when you see, for instance, Steve Reeves. Did you ever see Steve Reeves showing his teeth or struggling or anything like this? Or if you look at Chuck Dellinger, Chuck Dellinger won Mr. Universe in 1956, Steve Reeves won in 1950. Those guys, or Clancy Ross, who was one of the great champions during that same era in the 50s, those guys looked relaxed. And they always had such beautiful bodies. That's what you want to do. That's what we want to teach those guys here.
So up here now you have Justin Rodriguez. He's from the Dominican Republic. He's one of the guys that actually carries the mass, but he has a good V-taper. If you see him now, even with this pose.
Yeah, great, but you see he can control his abs.
Yeah.
Very good abs.
Yeah.
So let's see if you can
Yeah, in his poses, you can see the thickness
Very good.
across the
Yeah,
upper body, and then the waist comes in with a
Yeah.
V-taper.
No, he has great abs. And he uses them. He flexes them.
Yeah.
Huge lats.
Yeah.
This is a huge lats. Looks like the curtain just closed. Look at the deltoids.
Yeah.
Really good back. Very well developed back. I think the calves,
lower back.
the calves need to get bigger.
Yeah.
Let's say if I want to start picking things that are not as good as his calves, I think if he piles on 2 more inches on his calves, it will look stunning.
You know, I can't make a comment when you talk about calves, because mine are small too.
Yeah, but you improved yours over the years. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Look at nice pose. But there's a problem really doing the vacuum. You see that?
Yeah, right.
Imagine what that would look like with a vacuum.
Yeah.
It goes all the way back to the spine.
So let's say if a person like this loses 15 pounds and has a more streamlined midsection, it would be better.
Well, I don't know if it's 15 pounds. You know, you have to find the sweet spot.
Right, okay.
It could very well be like 5 pounds.
Okay.
But one thing we know for sure, if he does work on his abs and vacuum control, then he will get better.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that he did not spend an hour a day on the abs and vacuum control. That's what you need to do.
One thing I can tell you, and Dennis, you can attest to this as well. When you're getting ready to
Our next
go on
competitor is
stage or
Puerto Rico
compete,
pro
and you dial it in for an open division, you have to eat so much food in those final days to try to fill your body out. And I think oftentimes these guys just have food that's still in their belly that hasn't quite digested yet, because we feel like we need those nutrients in order to make the muscles look as full as possible.
Sometimes it's, and that was one of my mistakes too. I always thought you got to be super full.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to find that happy medium.
Yeah.
And be maybe a little bit on the flatter side, but drier.
Yeah.
Just enough so you can feel the muscle power. And when you go for super fullness, so is the stomach. Super fullness is very hard to control.
So
Especially if you don't
I
pay
can
attention.
imagine that, the night before the competition, I can imagine to go and eat some junk food. Like Franco and I used to go to the house of pies and ate a whole pie the night before. But the morning of the competition, we ate very little.
Really?
Oh, very little.
Okay,
and mostly fruit.
Yeah.
Just have the energy, but not something that makes you blow up or get bloated. Because sometimes you can have something with the combination of foods, as gets very tricky.
Right.
So just the combination can make you bloated all of a sudden. That is the wrong thing to do. To experiment with that on the day of the competition.
We have to pack in dry white potatoes and yams and rice and try to get as many carbs as we possibly can.
I would never do that.
And that probably creates the issues that
Exactly, No, I would just trim down and I would just Just go for the dry look, and then starve your waist, and put as much energy behind flexing the abs, doing the vacuum, flexing the abs, doing the vacuum, back and forth, but until you just faint. If you do that every day, I tell you, you will blow everyone out of the water because people will see the difference from one year to the next. So that's what you need to do. Is everyone is in the same boat. How do you shock the judges?
Keith Williams, his lower back.
Oh yeah.
Keith Williams.
He's one of the best. He's fantastic. Look at the lats, the upper lats. Upper lats are great. Good most muscular pose.
Coming off the 6th place at the Olympia last year. Things is coming a little short here today. He did not even make the first call out, so it's
right.
It's an uphill battle for Iain Williams. I think he missed the mark just a little bit.
Our next competitor
In which way?
In condition.
this year.
You mean he could be finer, he could be more
Yeah,
sharp?
I've seen him
Yeah,
sharp.
no, I don't agree with you. I've not seen him in the last few months, competing, so I don't know if there's something that was went off a little bit, or if he naturally comes in a little too heavy.
Yeah. He competed in Puerto Rico where he
Yeah.
qualified for the Olympia. And sometimes not everybody's good doing multiple shows, especially when there's a big gap in between. So sometimes you'll just think, I'm going to come off my diet for a week, and then sometimes the body doesn't respond the same anymore.
Yeah. And the worst thing is when you start experimenting. I mean, I see bodybuilders all the time telling me, I made the biggest mistake for the first time ever. I started eating pancakes in the morning. It just blew up my waist. I said, why would you experiment on the day of the competition? Why wouldn't you just try it a month before and see what it does to your body? Right?
So I think you're going to be very pleased with who we see on stage now. This is Iain. He's from Canada. He has, I told you earlier this morning, he reminds me of Jay Cutler with his stage presentation, the way he carries
The
himself.
haircut also. Right?
Yeah.
He looks like cut. From the side, he looks totally like cut.
Right. He's another one of those guys that actually have what we call nowadays the X frame. He's got the wide shoulders and come down to a tight midsection plus the big legs.
Right.
Yeah.
That looks very good.
Yeah, he's going to be battling for one of the top spots, probably 3 or 4 maybe, from the way it looked like for prejudging this morning. Yeah. So he's hoping to make up some ground tonight. Holding the pose.
Beautiful thighs. Exactly. Great pose.
Great pose.
I don't like when bodybuilders do that.
You don't like
Kind of, no. Give me more applause.
Yeah.
Because that says, look, I'm not really feeling that I'm good enough, so I'm begging you, give me some applause.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any kind of a speaker, great public speaker out there, to go like this after your speech? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. I always wonder, because I noticed in your routine, you used to, for the most part, stay in one spot and hit all of your routines and transitions. When you see bodybuilders these days, they may take a few steps to the left or right, or walk completely to the other side of the stage. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think it takes away from the impact of their routine?
I remember that in my days, a lot of times there was a platform there, and the platform was like 4 feet wide. So if you made an extra step, you fall off the platform, right? So it was not a good idea to go and start walking around. But I think it is a great idea. I think to move around, because you want to make sure to let the audience know you're very much aware that right now he's walking over to this side, and say to them, look, I noticed that you're there, and you only see things from the side, so I'm going to give you now a little shot just specifically for your corner over there.
So this is not necessarily from a competition standpoint, but from an entertainment standpoint.
Entertainment, but also kind of it is the kind of thing. Look, let's all be honest here. The judges are not perfect, right? So how can I influence the judges emotionally and not just have them work with their head, but also work with their heart and with their emotions? So I have to go and steer up the crowd, and I have to get as much applause as possible, because the judges get influenced by that. Okay, no matter what anyone says, they are not perfect, but they will get influenced by that. So I would do anything on stage to go and to pose and to be the audience. So that would then have an effect on the judges.
So you honestly believe that it's possible for you, through the explosiveness, the connection with the crowd, to actually make the judges recognize that it's a, hey, this guy is really, he's really brilliant.
It's instead of you asking me the question, let me ask you back.
Yeah.
Imagine now you're a judge,
Right.
and you're sitting there, and all of a sudden, for one athlete, the audience jumps up to its feet and starts screaming and doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Maybe and they're just chanting and screaming, and you say, am I missing something?
Yeah, right.
So now it has an effect.
Yeah.
Inevitably, I'm just exaggerating that, but I did this specifically as I walked off the stage. After my posing routine was over, I got applause, sometimes standing ovation, whatever it was, and then I walked off, and to make sure that people keep standing and applauding, I stopped halfway going off the stage and did another 2-3 poses.
Yeah.
So they said, "Oh, that's great, Arnold." Yeah. And they kept screaming. Then I did another few steps, did another few poses. So it's kind of cheating in a way. Let's be honest, because I really find
I think it's having a good time.
Yeah, but I mean, it's what it is. What it is. I said, hey, if the other guy is doing 20 poses, I did 20 poses out there. But if I can do another 3 poses on the way off the stage, and then another 3 just before I disappear behind the curtain, and it maybe gets me an extra point. And sometimes you can win by an extra point. I remember, like we talked about Australia, I won only by 2 points. Geez, it gets very tight in those situations, you know.
Especially when the crowd wants to see more.
And
you just give them
exactly.
more.
So it's, I think you got to be able to improvise when you pose out there. You got to read the audience. If you see them that they're really going crazy over your vacuum pose, then I would do 3 more vacuum poses, even though it's not part of the routine, on the way out. You know what I'm saying? Hit those shots that they applauded the most, just to influence the judges, hopefully. That's what you need to do.
You know, I've always thought when I do my routines, and, the crowd really loves to see my routines, and I feel like the judges are like, yeah, you got to get routines, but who cares, right? Because this is what your physique look like, and that's all we care about. A lot of times, we think that the posing round is purely for entertainment and not necessarily for the judges to judge your physique. What do you think about that?
I disagree with that, because I think that the body is, like I said, a work of art. Now, when you go to, I don't know how many of you have gone to an auction. When you go to Christie's and you go to an auction of a Van Gogh painting or a Picasso, and they want to really get a high price, it's all about the presentation. What did they do? All the house lights turn off. Everything is dark. There's only one painting, not 3 paintings. There's only one painting out there. Then it gets a special spotlight. Then the music starts, and then the auctioneer starts. And now we're going to start with $100,000. There's this hype, and then they go and move it around a little bit in order to. But it's all about presentation. Remember, presentation. That's what it's all about in bodybuilding. You can have the greatest body in the world, but if you don't know how to present it and how to really play with it and how to entertain the audience and how to excite the judges, that, oh my God, this guy is popping out. Look at the muscles here. Look at this. But this is what you need to do. It's selling. Selling the presentation.
So, Arnold, would you say that there's also been a psychological aspect to performing on stage as a bodybuilder, to where you evoke emotion from the audience based on your body language and the way that you pose, the energy that you display,
it's all about, you hit the right word, emotions.
Right.
Just remember that we make decisions that are through our brain, but we also make decisions through our heart.
Right.
It's like when you look at a debate, a presidential debate, and the end people will not remember the details that they talked about, but you walk away and you say, I like this guy, he was kind of kind, and he was really cool, and he showed leadership. It's things like that. So that's the heart. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go for the emotions, you got to go for the heart as well as for the brain that analyzes exactly every muscle and all that stuff like the judges do.
I have to be honest and say that that's something that I know is a weakness for me that I need to work on, because I feel like there's no way to connect psychologically or emotionally with a judge. I think they're probably void of emotion so that they can give logical judgments and not really connect with you. And you say that that's absolutely possible.
They try.
Right.
It's as much as the judges in the Supreme Court or in a Superior Court or the local court or whatever it is. They try to do that, but I mean, they also get the fact that they're human beings.
Right.
They're not machines. They're human beings. So Everyone can get affected by that. So therefore I say, lay all your cards that you have, or what I always call no stone unturned. You know, to make sure to win. Because in order to win, there's, as you can see, so many good guys up there. This guy is fantastic. I really love that there's finally some Asian in the competitors there, because we need that, I think. There's just such a huge world over there. They're not yet 100% with the program when it comes to bodybuilding. There have been in the past some good ones, but I think it's good. If this guy does really well, I think other Asian bodybuilders will come in.
So next up, we're going to have the guy that's battling for the top spot based on what we've seen at PJ. This is Mr. Nick Walker. This morning, you know, we were having a conversation about how muscular he is, and his muscular development, also his energy, his connection with the crowd, like you just said. So tell me what you think about his physique and his routine.
Yeah. Well, I think it looks like a really complete physique.
Yeah.
What I see from far away now. But yeah, he looks pretty good. Yeah. I think he definitely put the right painting stuff on it. Just a white back. Great calves.
Yeah.
See the calves?
Absolutely good, yeah.
Big calves. Huge deltoids.
The good thing
He's
about
definitely one of the top contenders, I think. That there's no two ways about that. I think that he's in the top three, and I have to see them now when they have the pose of the beautiful tricep pose, and the abs. Shows the abs really well.
Yeah, the good thing, you can tell he practices posing because he holds the pose steady, no shaking, no nothing, and he holds it.
And I think he worked on it.
Yeah. This morning at prejudges, they ran them through the mandatories about 3, possibly 4 times, and he held steady the entire time.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would just do something about his veins. You know, it kind of like disturbs me.
So what can you do about veins?
No, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I have no idea. I don't know if it's a medical problem or is it just the way it is because of genetics or whatever. I have no idea. But it's just something that I would just get consultation on and see what they can do.
Back in your days, can you remember any competitor that actually was very veiny? Or from what I see, everybody had a pretty pleasant looking physique without all the extreme things. Do you remember anybody that was?
There were some people that were more vascular than others. That was a sign of kind of, oh, I'm so ripped, look at vascular. But now it goes even beyond that. You know, so
it's a little more extreme.
It's more extreme now.
Do you think that the extreme vascularity takes away from a physique?
No, I don't think so. I think that if you're ripped and if you're really dry and if you're muscular and you have the definition of the separation, I think all of this is good. It can only make you win.
Right.
This thing can do it. The key thing is that the proportions are right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that's what you had.
Right.
So, well, your proportions go is great. And this is, I think, some people don't have that because they're born with short legs.
Right.
They're born with short arms. Remember Franco? Franco was bow-legged. So you always have to have one leg in front of the other when he goes so he doesn't expose that weak point. But that's not his fault. He was born like that, right? So that's the way it is.
See what I did there?
Really great competitors there.
Thank you for that.
Great lineup this time.
We got our final competitor coming up
final
now.
competitor.
Max Charles from New York City.
A regular here on the
He was in
circuit,
the second
many
card this
times on
morning.
the Arnold Classics, and of course on the Olympia
Max
stage from
Charles,
Huntington,
I
New York.
actually worked
Please
out with
welcome
him a few times. He had a
Charles.
very slow, concentrated workout style. He's not one of those guys that just throws weight around. He controls real slow, and you'll see this with his posing, how slow and controlled he conducts himself.
It's interesting that the bodybuilders today are doing much less sets than we did in the old days. I don't think so.
You guys
I don't know
high volume.
what changed. I wonder when that changed because we used to do like 35 sets of body part. Because we couldn't figure out how you divide it up. Like first you start training, for the width of your lats, then you do your chin-ups, then you train your lower lats, you do the narrow grip chin-ups, then you train for the thickness of the back, so you did the bent over rowing, then you did your T-bar rowing, then you did your cable rowing with one arm, you really pull it all the way back so you get the rear deltoid in the center back, and it just added up. Then you do the pull-over exercise and the pull-over machine. So that's, the sense of it that you do like 30, 35 sets for body parts. And that's why I was like 5 hours in the gym every day, 6 days a week.
So do you think then maybe that what is different now is the amount of knowledge they have about nutrition and supplementation that allow them to develop this muscle without that much overall work?
It could easily be. I mean, I don't know if there were any studies done. What is better? And I think it's a it's a personal, preferential thing, kind of. But I mean, I just think that food supplements make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
I think that training machines that are available today make a big difference. You know, the kind of like progressive resistance. You know, the marvelous machines that we didn't have yet when I was training. You know, all of the stuff is new, and then the kind of technique of the negative resistance and all those kind of things. So, but this guy, by the way, as we're talking, I just want to say he looks fantastic.
Yeah,
So I think that he's definitely one of the top guys. If he gets to the top 5 or 6 or not, I don't know, but I mean, he looks really great.
I love his retake, I love his shoulders.
Yeah.
The front of his physique always looks super hard and nice.
But I see his calmness, what you're talking about.
Listen, so when we hang out, he even walks in slow motion.
Yeah.
He's so cool. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I love Max Charles. So now this is the last competitive, last routine. So now we're going to get back into the comparison.
Very nice.
All right, folks, that concludes all 10 of our individual presentations.
So Dennis,
Hope
you
you're
think
paying attention to the
when
posing.
we do the comparison tonight, the first call out is going to be the top guys? Is that how
I think Steve's going to start from behind. This is something that in the past 3 years that he used to do. He starts from behind at the confirmation round. So the first call out here will probably be I'd say 5 to 10.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay. So they'll save the best for last in the comparison.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I think he's going to bring out the first guys first. So let's see.
I'm going to put some
I
money
think
on
he's going to bring out the first guys first.
I happen to agree with you. I think they're going to start from the back to the front. But then again, you never know the judge. But why is Weinberg again is in charge of it?
Yeah, he's head judge tonight, right?
So then he normally goes from the back to the front, but he could also just change it today. But this is really, I think, the moment that what bodybuilding is all about. I think, you know, it's like the competition on the stage, the final one. You've gone through the pre-judging, you're tired now. This is now the second time you have to pose for hours and hours, warm up backstage, get ready, all your poses, practice and all that stuff. Now it's the final pose off.
So Arnold, now as we look at the stage and we see how beautiful, well, it's lit, we see, all of the decoration and everything, do you have an opportunity before the show, or before we even plan the show, to say, hey, I like this design, I like this plan?
No, absolutely. We go through it throughout the year in the designing of the stage, and we go back and forth, and they send me models of it, what it would look like, the lighting, and so we work on it, and we always try to upgrade and to go with the technology, because today you see there's much more color there, and rather than in the old days when I won Mr. World here in Columbus, Ohio in 1970, there was nothing on the stage except a black background and some Greek columns. That was it. And now you have this whole decoration, you have the name in the background of the athlete that poses, where they're coming from. And then you have in the middle this beautiful sculpture. I don't know who posed for that. But
Who is that guy? I don't know. Listen, when I first competed here in the first few years, before I actually had a chance to meet you, I would actually have a conversation with that statue before I went out, as if I was talking to you, and I would say, I hope you like this, and I would touch the statue. That was my only way of trying to connect with you. So I love having the statue up on the stage.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you guys were right. They're starting from the back.
Yeah.
From the second call out and working their way forward.
Absolutely. And I also have to say that I'm very proud of the stage setting, because, as you know, there was discussions about the amount of spectators we can have, the amount of people we can come into the competition, or if anyone is allowed to come from Europe in the first place, all of this kind of discussion. It was really kind of very intense for a while because there was the times when people said, let's just not have the competition.
Yeah.
But I insisted on having the competition. And I really don't care about the money. We're definitely going to lose probably $1 million here today on this competition. But I don't care. I really don't care because what to me what is important is just that it is for the athletes.
Yes.
I want to make sure we don't leave out ever a year because the coronavirus would not tell us we cannot have the competition. They can tell us, the authorities, not to have 4,000 people here today, so we only were able to limit it to 2,000. Then the other people we couldn't accept anymore. They wanted to come, but we couldn't accept it. But I love putting money into bodybuilding. As I said earlier, I was born a bodybuilder and I'm going to die as a bodybuilder. That's as simple as that. I love the sport.
That's a very important call out right there. Because Sergio, Iain, and Justin Rodriguez. That means Sergio most likely will again move up from this morning to tonight. Because, like I said, confirmation round is points, posing round is points. Which is only a true show on the posing round counts for points. So there's a good chance of him.
They just repositioned and put Iain in the middle here. So that looks like maybe fourth place.
Wait, Steve, we're going to switch it up.
So Arnold, let's say the authorities told you can't have any spectators at all. Would you still do the show just for the athletes?
I said to everyone around me, I said, I don't care if I have to do it in the backyard of my house. And we just live stream it so that spectators around the world can see it.
Yeah.
But the athletes will be here posing this year, and they will getting their cash prizes this year. We're not even cut down by $1 the cash prizes, because whatever money we're short, I will pick up on it and I will put it in. It doesn't matter. I said, to me, this is extremely important. This is my passion, bodybuilding competition and the Arnold Classic, and we will continue doing it. So now we just hope that next year we can have it when we have again a sports and fitness festival with 250,000 people involved. But I still worry about that maybe March is too early. We'll find out. Let's just check this out. You look at the backs. There's three champions backs, and it's fantastic.
So if you had to pick one in this group of three, who would you choose?
But right now, I think Sergio in this particular back pose. But not a warrior. I mean, there's not enough of this going on.
Who do you think was
That is not this great pose. This is the one that Sergio has to really work on. This is side tricep pose. And also side, like I said, side chest pose.
It's often difficult for guys doing the side tricep to be able to suck the stomach in.
Yeah, but I think his waist is small. I think his waist is abs are good. But the front is better for him than the side shots. Because he has such unbelievable deltoids, he has such fantastic pectoral muscles, and the separation of his pectoral muscles from the deltoids, which is really key. Look at those muscles there.
He absolutely comes alive.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he's holding it.
That is the great thing about it.
So Dennis, can we make any judgment based on those positions that the judges left those guys in?
On the way to position him?
No, on those three that we just seen. Do you see Iain ahead of Sergio based on his position?
Possible. I think because he was in the center, so it could mean that he is beating Sergio. But here's the top three.
This looks like your top three right here. Nick Walker in the middle. We have Steve Kuclo on the left, and we have Iain from Canada on the right side.
Iain looks like he's somewhat living on the flatter side now. I don't know what it is.
So earlier this year, Steve Kuclo and Iain, they competed at the same show, and actually Iain beat Steve at that show. And here it seems to me like Steve Kuclo was actually pulled ahead of him.
I think this guy's really great. I still don't get it why Sergio would be in the top three.
Really?
No. I mean, side chest.
Nick Walker has deep muscle separation too. That's Nick Walker's in the middle, and he holds his poses flawlessly.
Back double biceps. So now I can say my opinion because now the judges don't hear me, and they're not aware. I cannot influence them anymore because I'm always very sensitive about staying away from trying to influence the judges or talking to them. That's why Jim Daniel picks the judges, and the IFBB does that. We are just the promoters of the show, so we keep a firewall between those two things.
So what do you see here with these backs?
The back is good.
Nick Walker in the middle.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean, the left is big calves.
yeah, that's Steve.
Big calves.
Back in the day, you used to believe, I know Franco even mentioned it, that height was an advantage in those days, for aesthetic purposes. Do you think height is still an advantage now, being able to try to be so massive, or not?
Well, it's just, I think height was an advantage if you fill out the frame. Because remember that to fill out the frame, that was the problem Lou Ferrigno had. Right? Lou Ferrigno was taller than me, he was bigger than me, but it was much more difficult to fill out that frame. And there were the Dragon Slayers, like Franco Colombo, or maybe, I don't know if you've ever heard of Pierre Vandenstein. Yeah, Mr. Abdominal, he would destroy big guys like this, like flies, I tell you, because he was so ripped. He had such perfect abs, and this was such definition.
Gentlemen, front double bicep.
Put these guys to work now.
See, now when they stand there just like this, you cannot think that the judges are not looking. That's why it's important to train yourself, keep your waist sucked in, at all times.
When I look at this lineup here, I have to say that I believe Steve Kuclo has the best structure. The way his physique is, the way his muscles are laid out, the way his physique is.
Yes.
But oftentimes, someone with the best structure doesn't win a bodybuilding show, especially in the open division.
Well, because it's also about who has used 100% of their potential. Right. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you have by nature a beautiful physique, beautiful bone structure, wide shoulders, narrow waist, and long limbs and all this stuff. But you maybe have to put everything in there, in their flaws. So that's also important.
Back lat spread.
Back double bicep, back lat spread. They reposition the guys a little.
Yeah.
From your experience being on stage, have you ever experienced looking one way when you step on stage, and then as you go through your poses, your body changes, and people told you, Arnold, you look better, or maybe even worse as you pose the longer you were on stage?
Well, there's Frank Zane told me that he doesn't warm up that much.
Okay.
And he doesn't care if he comes out in the early rounds and people say, Frank looks good, but so-and-so looks actually fantastic and all this. But he knew that as he does his posing out there, he pumps up.
Okay.
And then he started coming from behind.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden he was the second best. And all of a sudden they said, he's actually now so ripped. He stood as the number one. And then Andy pulls it off and he wins. So I've seen him do this many times in competitions, even though he only weighed like 185 or 187 pounds.
So here we are. We reposition the guys again. This is the third time going through the mandatory.
Well, the question now is, really, I think it would be great if you could ask Weinberger, are you guys now still thinking about who should it be, or is this now for the audience? Because a lot of times the people should be aware of it when they watch it at home online now, because a lot of times this is now for show. Because the judges probably have the decision, but they cannot hand it in now because they have to tally it. So now while they're tallying it, the head of the judges goes and says, I need another 3/4 back. I need another chest. Now they're tallying the scores and all this stuff. Now they're collecting the numbers, and now the MC will get it. But in the meantime, they're playing all this out. It wouldn't surprise me if they wouldn't let the bodybuilders go out in the audience, as they always do, and walk around a little bit so they can really count, all the numbers.
I got to be honest. After going through the mandatories maybe twice in the comparison round, after that it feels like punishment to me. It's like let's see who can handle this amount of posing.
But this is where the action is. Right? I mean, don't you think so?
Yes.
I mean, it's all about this last 10 minutes. Are you going to fall apart this last 10 minutes? Or do you have the energy to still smile, to still have the capability and the endurance, cardiovascular-wise, the endurance?
This is what you train for. This is what you prepare for.
Exactly. It's like a marathon. You know what happens between the 50th mile, in the 26th mile,
Nobody asks them on stage how much they bench or
That's
how
right.
much they squat.
Right.
It's all about what you display.
But I think these guys, both of them, all three of them actually look very, very fired up. And I think they're very excited. I think they give the audience, as you can hear, the audience react is fantastic. They've been screaming for 50 minutes straight during this whole post down.
Thank you, gentlemen. Back in line. And back to you, Bob. All right.
It is great when they do that.
Yeah.
I love that. If they mean it or not, it's a whole other thing, but it looks great for the audience and for us, that are watching it.
So, Davis, we can definitely say that's going to be the top three.
Oh, yeah.
Guys. That's
That's the top three right there. And now we are, if I'm correct,
Am I right, folks?
we're getting into the pose down.
You heard the fans, and they're what's out right here in Columbus. You guys ready? Are you guys ready?
Pose down.
So we'll do the pose down now.
Then hit the music, gentlemen,
when we do
for
this
the
pose down,
title.
I always go to the crowd.
Pose down.
And you take pictures with people. I immediately go to the crowd.
Drink the water, don't find anything now. You haven't read anything because the toilet bucket is water. Big game.
Arnold back here fussing at it. With some water. Hey, you can tell when you're rich, you get to yell at people and get what you want. Oh man, I think this guy might get fired tonight. Over a bottle of water.
He ain't fired. Get me coffee.
Then we got the pose down. You know, they're probably not allowed to go to the
Great.
crowd.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because all of the athletes and all of the staff, we had to be tested the day before the show.
I think we have really had a very strict corona protocol here about wearing the mask. Everyone is wearing masks backstage. Before I came out here, you came out here, you wearing a mask, notice. So that's what we do. Everyone is wearing masks here. All the athletes have to be tested and vaccinated and all this stuff. So it's really great.
Yeah, I love how you had the testing facility inside the whole hotel.
Yeah.
So all of us could just go downstairs and
That's right,
test,
And then you just stay inside the bubble. Yeah, exactly.
You guys want to see more?
I don't think there was a better way to possibly do this considering the circumstances.
No, look, you got to work around all those obstacles, And then we had to also stay in touch with the city, with its rules, and also the state has its own laws. So we want to make sure that we stay in those rules and then work around all that.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much, guys. How about a big hand, folks, for your top 10 gentlemen here at the Arnold?
Man, I know how this feels. So tired.
Well, that concludes the open man
All
category.
right, we're going to get the guys
If
a
I'm
little
not
bit of a
mistaken,
breather.
we
They're going
will
to be
go
back
back to
just a bit. Folks, we got a little bit more.
Bikini.
Karen, any fans here for Bikini?
Very nice. I'll let you guys handle the
Once again,
bikinis.
folks, we've got one of the best in the world
Hey,
right here on
you
the
know
Arnold Classic
what I think it
stage.
is? I think
We're
you're
going
not
to
allowed to
introduce
look
you
at the bikini
to
girl. That's what I think.
earlier this morning.
You're absolutely right, because of my heart condition.
Yeah, we'll handle that part.
Winner of the Muscle Contest Pacific USA and a United States Marine Corps
Thank you so
veteran.
much.
Please
I
welcome
enjoyed it.
from
I
Allentown,
enjoyed it. Thank you.
Pennsylvania, Jasmine Gonzalez.